Welcome to the I Am One podcast, where we talk to perinatal mental health advocates, professionals, and educators supporting the mission of Postpartum Support International. We're not afraid to ask our guests about the hardest parts of pregnancy and postpartum because we know that PSI has tools and resources to help in every situation, and everyone should know about them.
Whether you are among the 1 in 5 moms, 1 in 10 dads, one of many trans or non-binary parents, or you're one professional or advocate committed to helping folks in need, you are also one of us.
I'm your host, Danny Giddens, and I am 1 in 5. I didn't know what to call what I was experiencing after becoming a parent and felt too scared at the time to speak up.
Not anymore. Now she won't stop talking about it. Hi, I'm your co-host, Emily Jankowski. I'm also 1 in 5, and I want you to know that mental health complications are common, but they aren't normal.
There's something powerful in knowing I am one of many. Whether you're already connected to the perinatal mental health world, looking for new ways to support parents and families, or just want to hang out with us in your earbuds, we are so glad that you tuned in.
Of course they want to hang out with us. We're lovely. Seriously though, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this pod are the speaker's own. Tuning into this podcast is, spoiler alert, not a replacement for therapy, but PSI can help you find a therapist. We could also help you find a psychiatrist, a support group, or Waldo.
Emily, Waldo? Come on! We don't know where Waldo is.
Okay, fine. PSI help seekers can find peer support and resources in their area.
At PSI, we want you to know you are not alone, you are not to blame, and with help, you will be well. On today's episode, we're sitting down with KEISHA REAVES, a perinatal mental health certified licensed professional counselor in North Georgia who has a lot to say about the state of mental health care for BIPOC parents in the United States. Speaking from personal experience, KEISHA is a passionate advocate on a mission to educate parents and practitioners about the myriad of resources that are quite literally at their fingertips. We'll talk about strong Black woman syndrome, dating around for that special someone. Hey, we're talking about finding the right therapist, come on, and taking your power back. So without any further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode with our friend KEISHA. KEISHA, welcome to the podcast studio. We are so excited to be sitting down with you and spending the next hour chatting with a topic that all three of us love to talk about, perinatal mental health. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. I've been so excited about having this conversation.
Yes. Well, I think without any further ado, if you don't mind, KEISHA, can you give us a little bit of an introduction to who you are?
Sure. I am a Georgia native. I was born and raised in South Georgia. I am a licensed professional counselor. I own a group practice in Atlanta, Georgia. We specialize in maternal mental health. So we work with clients who are trying to conceive, whether it's IVF, surrogacy, or adoption, as well as if they've experienced any form of a loss, preparing for parenthood and transitions, as well as any perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. And we solely do telehealth. That was a side effect of the pandemic.
Interesting.
I know. Initially, it was kind of like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work because we had been doing it in person, but it's been fortunate because in a lot of rural areas of Georgia, there aren't therapists that have this specialty. And then there's the convenience of it being telehealth. So people don't have to worry about transportation or childcare. So It's been super helpful for myself and all of the clinicians within the practice. And I absolutely love it. And I'm also a mom of two boys. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old.
So your house is loud.
Very loud.
7 and 4 is like a really loud set of ages.
Mm-hmm. The house and the car.
Oh, yeah.
I used to always tell my kids, like, the size of the space should match the size of your voice. Like, if we're in a small space, you should use a smaller voice. I mean, they definitely always listened when I said that. No.
Not for anybody just listening.
Shakes head sadly. It helped sometimes.
I think that age was the time where I was like, is it like okay to put carpet on walls? Like anything to dampen the sound. I was like, it's kind of a weird aesthetic, but I'm interested if that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's so loud. And they're very rambunctious and they have so much energy. And sometimes people will say like, oh, you're going to keep them up during the summer so they'll sleep in later. They still wake up at 6 a.m.
That's not a thing.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Not my kids. Early risers. I wish they could sleep in. I know.
I've never had to wake up a child unless it was like nap time, but I've never been like, oh, get up. It's 8:30. Why aren't you awake yet? Never.
There is hope.
Okay.
Mine do sleep in now. Like they're all in they're given moody teenager era, you know? So they wake up and they look disheveled and it's 11:30. And I'm like, would you like some breakfast or lunch? Whatever.
Your choice.
Breakfast for lunch, breakfast for dinner is my favorite meal. So it works out. Yeah. All right. KEISHA, can you tell us?
Thanks for keeping us real then.
I know. I'm like, can you tell us what role perinatal mental health disorders have played in your life personally? You kind of touched on the professional a little bit, but if you want to go deeper there as well, tell us more.
Yeah. So when I first started as a solo practitioner, I had an interest in perinatal mood and anxiety disorders just because I had a lot of parents that were coming with the diagnosis but didn't know that's what it was. And so I had sought out to get the training, but it wasn't until I had my first that I really understood the depths of it all from my own experience because I wasn't a parent when I started my private practice. And with Ezra, he's my firstborn, he was colic. We lived very far away from friends and family. My husband works in the medical field and he worked 2 hours away for 12-hour shifts. So I was a first-time parent by myself with a kid that cried all day and never slept. And I was significantly sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And, that trickles the anxiety and the doubt. And I had the intrusive thoughts. And then you're kind of like dealing with the depression of, is this life now? Will it always be this way? And becoming hopeless.
Is this always going to be?
Yeah. Is this life? Yeah. And then being in the South, especially as a Black woman, I for sure had strong Black woman syndrome, not wanting to share how hard it was. And even if I did to some family members, it was kind of like, well, this is what you've asked for. And several other, mothers have been able to do it with 5 and you just have 1. So you should be able to get to it. So, just with the shame and the guilt and the anger and resentment, just all the things, I knew that if I was struggling and was someone who had the training and the clinical background, I couldn't imagine what it would be like for someone who was completely oblivious to what it was they were experiencing. So I definitely wanted to hone in on being able to bring about awareness and education and supporting others to name it and have the space to be able to talk about it and get the support because I'd been there and I got it and I understood it firsthand.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the strong Black woman, did you call it a syndrome?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Strong Black woman syndrome? Does it feel a little bit like the expectation to be a super mom?
For sure. I don't even necessarily know if it's like to be a super mom. I think it's just to grin and bear it. Like it's to not complain. It is what it is. You just got to get it done. All of these things need to get it done. There is no space to sit and cry. And if you do, you're looked at as weak. And everybody before you were able to do it with less. So why are you complaining?
Right.
Which is hard. And sometimes like the term can be like either strong Black woman syndrome or strong Black woman trope, either one. And it comes from just like historical contexts of when we didn't have options and we just continue to generationally carry those behaviors.
I mean, and my understanding is there's also some, I don't know, empowerment behind the idea that like your ancestors are behind you on something. Mm-hmm. This, at least from what you're saying, it feels like this is like a disempowering version of that.
Because it's almost like to reframe it as your ancestors would want you to take advantage of counseling. Like your ancestors would want you to sit down and ask for help.
Like, go get what you need.
Yeah. Because they really want you because you have the opportunity and you have the resources where they didn't.
That reframe gave me chills.
Yeah, I know. I actually do have goosebumps.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious about, well, you kind of talked about how perinatal mental health complications showed up for you. And I'm curious about what it was like for you to like seek out help. When did you decide? Was it because you noticed the symptoms in yourself, or close family members saying, I don't know, I wonder if maybe it might be a good idea to talk to your doctor or.
It was something that I sought out for myself. And another thing that, is often talked about in this podcast and in our trainings is that it's not just chemical or hormonal. A lot of the times it's just risk factors that are set up against us. Being that I was kind of like one of the only one in my friend group who lived here, who had a kid and was so far away. Before starting my private practice, I had worked for a corporate company and had gotten laid off right before I had my child. And my mom had gotten diagnosed with cancer for the second time, all at once, right? So it was just kind of, the ingredients were there. and it was like I was just like spiraling. And I think it was me wanting to be the best version for my kid, because I didn't want to be irritable or resentful or just angry. Like, he didn't ask to be here and he deserved joy. And I deserved to enjoy this experience. And it was that kind of propelled me to like seek out help and to find like the light in all of this and the strategies and out of this. And also like a way to just take my power back, because I felt like so many things were outside of my control. I can be a very like type A, structured, scheduled person. And we know like motherhood is nothing but out of control.
A lack of structure. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's cute. You made a schedule.
Right.
How's that going for you?
I know.
Not great. Okay, so when you sought help, like who did you call first? Like, did you call like your primary care? Did you call your OBGYN?
Are you already seeing a therapist?
Yeah, initially I went through employee assistance program through my husband's job and found a therapist. And I did have to date a therapist, like date around.
Right. That's a thing.
You were like, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
It's me. It's not you.
Yeah. To like find that good fit and to not give up on that, because a lot of people can.
Yes.
Because there was some definite mismatches that could have for sure propelled me to not get any better. But fortunately, I ended up finding a great therapist who helped me.
We did not give up. I know that sometimes that just really gets in the way for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so much to even for me, to just even call and leave a message to see if somebody had an opening. It felt like it took so much. And so to finally get in and then to go, this doesn't feel right.
Yes.
So way to stay with it.
Yeah.
Way to keep dating around.
Yeah.
So other than talk therapy, was there anything else that you deployed in this, like getting back to yourself or getting well, as it were?
Yes. I don't know. It was this weird epiphany. So I have this like mantra, and it's also the name of my practice, which is push through therapy. But that came from this affirmation for myself of just being able to push through to get to the other side. I think there was this like quote from Dolly Parton where she says, you have to get through the storm in order to see the rainbows. To just like push through to the other side. And so I wanted to take care of my physical health. And I started to exercise. I'd always been into sports. I played soccer in college and was active in running. Yeah. So getting back to that, that helped me just breathe. And then being able to like connect with friends and just be honest about what it was that I was experiencing without waiting for a negative reaction, and being able to carve out time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things like definitely help me in feeling like myself again and taking care of myself so that I could be more well-rounded, more well-rested. and especially like asking for help from people in different ways in which they could help me that could be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's really hard for people to ask for the things they need, or to even say yes if somebody offers something. You know, like when we have a baby, people are like, I want to bring you a meal, or what can I do to help it? Like,
I never say no to food, but if someone was going to offer to like do house stuff, I'd be like, no,
it's okay.
Yeah. And definitely not to want to host people when they want to come over, to like, okay, well, while you're here, I'm going to go take a nap, or I'm going to take a shower, or I'm going to,
you know what? I'll let you walk in the door if you have an armful of dinner.
Yes.
You know, your ticket in the door is.
Oh, and I left some laundry ready to be folded right next to where the baby is. So while you're observing the adorable baby, feel free to fold a load of laundry for me.
I've left some activities out for you.
Yes.
There's a baby, there's laundry, and some dishes.
Activities, yes.
Bye.
Yeah.
I'm going to go shower and pass out for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So were you ever diagnosed like with, did your therapist say like, oh yeah, this really seems like you've got postpartum depression? Or
great question.
And follow up, did you experience any mental health complications like before having your first? Were you already kind of like living with anxiety? Or?
Yeah. I'd already dealt with anxiety before.
Okay.
Since like grad school, had dealt with anxiety.
I mean, grad school can do that to you.
Yeah.
I can. I know.
There's a risk factor right there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the therapist that I had did not formally diagnose me, and she was not clinically trained in perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. And through the employee assistance program that I went through, they didn't have anybody that was. It wasn't until later in life when I got past that I sought out a therapist and just paid out of pocket once I got my bearings and could just like afford one who had the specialty that I got the formal diagnosis. But I did have postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression during it. And even like when you were talking about like hosting, this is like how my mind would be, just like with anxiety of someone would come over, a friend of mine, one of my best friends, she would come to watch Ezra so that I could sleep. And I would be anxious about not wanting to sleep too long so she wouldn't think I was like lazy. And it was like, okay, so just try to like nap for like 30 minutes, but don't be too long because you don't want her to think that you're just slacking over here.
Right. Yeah.
Or I'm just being a bad mother, when that's just not.
That you're on that postpartum vacation, right?
Yeah.
Like after delivery, you're just on a 6-week vacation.
Hanging out.
Living your best life.
Right.
Yeah. So you were like, okay, I have scheduled relaxation time for myself, for the next 45 minutes. And after that, then I am going to
up and at 'em.
Yeah.
Be like very alert and well rested. And I'm going to like let her know that I'm like a full grown ass adult and doing all the things. Right.
Right.
So, but you had already heard about PSI, right? So like you showed an interest professionally, got trained, and then had kids.
Yes.
Which is why you were like, wait, I know what to do here. Oh, interesting.
And it is very different. Like when you haven't necessarily had the experience and then you do, and you can connect the dots of like, okay, so this is what intrusive thoughts really is, or this is like what the anxiety about your child really is, or just like in general of just like the unknown of what the adventure to Target will look like with a baby who cries all the time and what can come up with that. It's just very different once you experience it for yourself.
I have a question. If you had let's call it like a theoretical understanding of intrusive thoughts, or like a theoretical understanding of these things before, like, can you speak to the difference? How did it feel to like sort of have this like reckoning, and or I don't know, were you like, I thought I knew things and now I realized that I didn't know things? Or you were like, I knew things, but now I like viscerally understand them in my bones.
Yeah.
Like what was this like?
Right. Definitely viscerally understanding it, because it's like this overwhelming flood of being able to recognize all the possible safety concerns in the space at which you're standing, but not knowing how to emotionally cope through it. You know what I mean? Where it feels almost like debilitating to just like walk down the stairs with your kid because you're like, oh, well, what if they just somersault out of my arms? It sounds so irrational, but like physically, you're like thinking of all of these concerns. And like in one instance, it's like good to be concerned. But in the next instance, it's like, what do you do with the hypervigilance about it? Like the physical reaction. Yeah.
The difference is you're not just concerned. It is absolutely jarring to you. These thoughts that are flying into your head out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
For some folks, do people release like stress hormones when they're having that intrusive thought? Like if you're, I don't know, doing a normal activity, but there's risk associated, right?
Like driving.
Right? Like if it's on the level of intrusive thought, are you then dealing with like cortisol? Like are you dealing with stress hormones that are obviously like, we know exposure to cortisol isn't good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially like if it gets to a point where you start to just have like avoidant behavior for it. Like I'm choosing not to drive.
Right. Or I'm not going to go up and down the stairs.
Yeah, I'm not, just because of that like fear response about it. Definitely.
Yeah. If you're listening out there and you're avoiding things because they feel scary, you don't have to, but you might not have the tools to stop yet.
Yeah. And it literally like it just gets to the point where you acknowledge the thought, you understand while it's there, and you work through it anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so we know how you know PSI. How have you volunteered for PSI though? Like what is your give back journey?
So I had got my 2-day components of care training in Arizona. While I was there, that's where they talked about how you could find your local chapter and to become a volunteer. So when I came back, after I'd had Ezra, I had submitted online. I met with the president and they were looking for members to join their board.
And you were like, all right.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, sure. So I joined the board and the position became available for a training coordinator to be able to educate people throughout the state who are providers on signs and symptoms and how to screen and refer. And at this point, I don't think I had tested for the PMHC yet, but I had had all the trainings at that point. And was definitely, had this mission. People need to know, people need to screen. And how like I had a provider through EAP who hadn't had PMATS training. Like any provider in any type of realm of dealing with birth workers needed to understand a general understanding of PMATS, regardless if it was their specialty or not. So I was on the board for 3 years and also helped them to found or put on their first Black Maternal Mental Health Summit.
Incredible.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. Which was like a big deal. Like I said, like being a Black mother, being from the South, and just being able to educate, because our numbers here in Georgia for Black birthing parents is astounding for just like mortality rates, and where it's like 1 in 3 Black women will experience PMATS. If you're a single Black mother, you're higher at risk than anyone else. So just being able to just educate as much as possible.
Yes. Okay. So were you going into offices and saying like, okay, y'all need to be trained? How did your day-to-day volunteer work look? If someone's listening and they're like, I don't know, like that sounds kind of cool. Like I'd like to be involved in something like that. Like what does it look like?
It was a little bit of both. And it was kind of fun because it was doing trainings for Emory University's PA students, because there is no formal class for medical students on what PMATS is, even though they may be working with birthing parents, which is crazy. And that you would think like
hello.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, but they don't. And so doing that, but then like also going to OBGYN offices and just like setting up a table and being able to pass out flyers or informational brochures, and then being able to do them virtually. We would be able to create like pop-up trainings that were for an hour. So anybody, anywhere who wanted to just pop in and get the training, we offered those. So it was whatever that could be helpful for anybody and what they did.
What does an hour training cover? I
I
mean,
know it's condensed.
I feel like Do you remember those Micro Machines commercials when we were like little and the guy talked really, really fast? I feel like you'd have to be like talking real, real fast.
I know. Yeah. It would just be like basic information. This is what perinatal mood and anxiety disorders are. These are symptoms. We use the Edinburgh or the PHQ-9. Here's a website where you can refer people. Like that was pretty much like all we would cover. And then we would encourage them take the 2-day training so you can get more in depth.
Right. And then you're like, don't forget. If you want to really know some stuff.
Yeah.
It was a little amuse-bouche for the 2 days. Well, that's great.
Thank you.
I have one more question. We covered the birth of your first. What happened after baby number 2 was born? Was there a different experience?
Interesting question. So,
no wrong answers.
Yes. So I was super proactive. I had a doula. My husband got a month off for paternity leave.
What? That's amazing.
Yes. My mom was retired at that point. So she came and stayed with us for almost 2 weeks, I think. Plus, my mother-in-law also came and they kind of swapped out shifts. I had a blessing way. So I had my closest friends come and were aware of, all of the anxieties and fears and how to show up for me when he came. So all things were in place. But I gave birth April 1st, 2020.
Oh.
It was
dang it.
As you do,
right? Things we don't have control over. So it was also the pandemic. So this was right when the world shut down. And ironically, it wasn't the worst thing because although it was such an unfortunate thing that impacted the world, it had us in like this cocoon of a family at home. Where we were just all together and we could create like our rhythm and bond and get everything that we needed. And people sent food and just whatever we needed, they sent to us. But also because it was April 1st, 2020, Black Lives Matter was a whole second civil rights movement going on.
Yeah. May 25th was George Floyd, right? It was like right after.
It was just back Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, like every other week. And I remember like thinking like, oh gosh, like how proactive I was. But here I am having given birth to my second Black son. Again, it's this fear, anxiety comes up, and it fortunately, because I'd had therapy, because initially when everything was happening, it like took the joy away and it was into, okay, how can I equip them to survive in America? And what do I need to teach them? And how can they like navigate the spaces as these Black boys? But I had to come back to the present and ground myself that this is a newborn and this is a 3-year-old. And we're here at home and we are safe and it is okay. And I don't have to deal with those pressures. So it's this weird dichotomy of doing it different, but still being like really aware of what's going on at the world at the same time.
That is overwhelming. Like you had this sense of urgency to math everything out and figure out how exactly to help equip them to be safe and successful in all the things,
Right.
Which all parents do, but Black parents do in a palpably different way.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It probably must have been hard to like have all that swirling around and going, but seriously though, like in front of me right now, I just need to make sure, like really,
right.
I just actually need to make sure he's got like a clean diaper on and like a full belly.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah. So, what was getting help like during that period? Anxiety was high. Were you able to do telehealth?
Yes, I did telehealth. My husband was super helpful. Everybody, the whole tribe was super helpful.
Okay.
It was a much, much more pleasant experience.
Okay. I'm glad. Thank goodness for telehealth.
I know, it is. Yeah.
I think one of my first thoughts when my friends sat me down and they're like, Danny, we're not going anywhere in person. I was like, but how am I going to see my therapist though? She's like, 2 minutes away from my house, but I'm not allowed to go in person, and at that point, that was not even available. Like telehealth was not a thing. I remember on the intake paperwork, it was like, we're not going to be emailing each other. We're not going to be on video call. And then everything switched. So that's great that you were able to connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, like the pandemic was a horrific thing, but there was so many things that came out of it. I mean, even like now, we're talking about my kids, they're 7 and 4. Curbside was a blessing. I don't have to go into the store anymore.
Like all I need is milk and bread. I don't need to go in and with like 37 extra things in my cart and a bunch of kids who are like going through the aisles, throwing extra.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's when I started, making an online shopping, list. And then I'm just like, I will push the button and the back will open up. Thank you. Awesome. Done. Nice doing business with you. Virtual high five,
Yes. I want to talk about the telehealth that you provide because since you're providing it exclusively now, right?
Right.
My therapist just told me that he can do EMDR. Thank you. Through telehealth. And I was like, go on.
Interesting.
Right? I was like, really? I'm excited. I'm fascinated. I'm ready to do it. But are there components of your practice that you're particularly impressed by being able to do virtually? Are there things that that you miss or that excite you about sort of the new landscape of like telemedicine?
I think the thing that I miss about in person is it's just a different type of connection because it's in person. And not everybody likes telehealth. We've had some clients where they feel like it's weird kind of talking about my business to someone in a screen.
Right.
But the benefits of it, because at my group practice, we have 11 clinicians and we have, 2 who do EMDR. We have one who specializes in OCD and a lot of different polyvagal and IFS and just a lot of different modalities that have still been effective, even though it's virtual. Even like doing mindfulness exercises virtually has been helpful. And then like the platform that we utilize allows us to like share our screen or use a whiteboard, just different things to keep people engaged and feel like it's a connection, despite the fact that we're not in person. And then again, like I said, it's helpful because for moms, they don't have to worry about childcare. They can literally be breastfeeding while having a session, or like the kids are put down for a nap and then be able to pop on and have therapy. And they don't have to load people in the car. Who's going to watch who? Or I'm stuck in traffic. I'm going to be late. They can still get what they need despite. And then for people who live in rural areas where there isn't a PMHC therapist locally, they can still be served.
They can see one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's incredible.
It's a blessing.
That's a lot of modalities, actually. I was like, ooh. I've been doing my therapy homework lately. So, learning all the things.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, is there anything else that we haven't touched on before we get a little sillier? Is there anything else that we missed talking about that you want to mention or
soapbox about?
Yeah.
Soapbox about?
Yeah. Opportunity.
I know.
The mic is yours, KEISHA.
I mean, I guess 2 things, but they kind of go in one-to-one. So I was telling you guys before that I'm working on a project that is a documentary.
Yes.
And we're in the pre-production stage, and it's on Black maternal health. And we have 4 families who's going to be in the documentary. And the goal of it is because we see oftentimes the statistics of Black women are 3 times likely to die. And, the stat I gave on PMATs for Black women and how we're kind of like left just knowing the statistics, and it can make someone feel very anxious or like I'm scared to get pregnant or I might die.
Yeah.
And with our documentary, we want to offer hope. And if people are aware of the different ways in which you can create a tribe through a birthing center, through pelvic floor specialists, through a doula, having like actual collaboration with your provider to have the birthing experience that you want, to feel compelled to ask questions. You can change your provider at any time. You don't have to feel stuck to someone. Just all of the different avenues, or like how funding can be provided for certain things that you want. So regardless of your socioeconomic status or your education, you can have the birthing experience as much as you can that you want. Of course, there's things that are completely out of your control, like mine, but so you don't have to like worry, and that fear doesn't have to overshadow the joy. And I guess like through this experience, it's been so much education, because we also have different experts who are going to be in the documentary to talk about what is available that we may not all know. And it's unfortunate because I like to say that medical providers aren't horrible. I have a great OBGYN, but we know that a lot of the times it's the system, rather it's like capitalism and them not having like enough time to sit down and like hear symptoms, and people then feeling dismissed, or people not feeling like they have the space to be able to say like, oh, I've been having contractions on the hour, but I'm only 26 weeks pregnant and I don't know if this is normal or not, because they're like in and out, because they have so many people they have to see and they don't want people to be upset. So it's really about encouraging people to find someone who is a good fit for you, and that there are good doctors that are out there, just as much as you want a midwife or if you want to birth at home, but to find something that feels like it's giving you the birthing experience that you want, and you don't have to be stuck into something that you don't want. And it's the system for us to really like challenge the system of the capitalism or the birthing business and how that can make millions of money in order to catch up with the rest of the other continents on this planet that are having a better plan than what we have.
Right. Better outcomes. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Better outcomes, better maternity leave, better support. I mean, like how impactful would it be if I could be able to be off for a year and I don't have to worry about going back to work or rushing, or I don't have to worry about my prenatal care, or I could just feel supported to do whatever I want to do.
And it's a normal thing that everybody, like an expected thing. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
And that your partner gets to take time off with you. It's just expected. And everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Everybody's entitled to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think this idea that things should come with support and things should come with help and ease when we can make it possible is in like direct opposition to this like rugged American individualism. Yes. Like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can do anything. That's not true. Most people are not qualified to birth their own babies. So what are we putting in place? Like, most people are not qualified to build a house. What are we putting in place? Like, come on. This is across the board that we think that we should just do everything by ourselves.
Absolutely. And I also think that everybody should do their part in being educated in it. Like when I was saying, like it shouldn't just be birth workers, but it's everybody, because like life continues. You know what I mean? Like people are having babies every single day. I did a training at a conference a couple of years ago, and I facilitated a breakout session, and there were several people who didn't attend my session because they said like, oh, well, I don't work with that population. I'm going to do this one instead. It should just be a part of the curriculum.
But I want you to know about it. It's important to know about it.
We all know someone who has given birth to a child. So you should be aware of like what's available so that you could help. And if you being a part of the community can be able to say like, oh, my neighbor just had a baby. Let me tell her about this free support group through PSI just in case she may need it. It may not have anything to do with you, but it's helpful to them. And it's something that they didn't know about.
Right.
That's my soapbox.
I like that. Yes. I love that soapbox. That was
slow clap. Great soapbox.
Well, KEISHA, are you ready to hop into the lightning round?
I'm ready.
And answer some more personal questions? Hard-hitting personal questions. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, KEISHA, first question. Besides this podcast, what is your second favorite podcast that you'd like to, recommend to our listeners?
Any variety.
It could be more than one.
Oh, gosh, that's hard.
Anybody that comes in line after us.
Or if we're your one and only, that's okay, too.
I mean, that's okay. We can be exclusive. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Okay, so I listened to several, and several are very important to me, but I will say one that I really got onto, and it's called Wiser Than Me by Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, yeah.
I hit a milestone age in April. And
Okay.
I was just kind of like looking for things to take this positively.
What milestone age?
I was going to say, what, did you turn 80 or something? You don't look old, Keisha.
She's 375.
I've been here. It's been 84 years.
Yeah, I turned 40. And you know how
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
But you know how in like our society, which I'm combating against it, our society is like after women give birth and reach a certain age, society kind of like disposes of them. And it's like, you know, what is their value and their worth? So this is why I really liked the podcast, because it talks about, she interviews people, women who are over the age of 65, and what gems do they have to provide from the life that they lived, and what is the beauty in getting older.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I love it.
I'm going to add that to my lineup.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's so many different people of different cultural backgrounds, races, occupational backgrounds, like from writers to dancers. And like how in certain cultures, like the older the woman is within the tribe, like how she's looked at as the wise one versus the disposed one.
Right.
So I love it.
No longer relevant.
Yeah.
Versus everyone's going to you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
That's a great suggestion.
Are you currently binge watching or reading or listening to anything that people need to put in their streaming queue?
Sure. There's two. I used to be really into television, but I haven't been lately. I have been heavy into like hobbies and interests in this documentary. But I will say two things, a book and a TV series. The series is Couples Therapy. It's on Showtime, but I think you can stream it on Paramount.
Oh, nice.
It's really, really good. And I think like for people who want like a true insight on what therapy really looks like, because there's different shows, like Dr. Phil really isn't therapy, or Ayanna Van Sant really isn't therapy. Mm-hmm. But this one really is. And she is a psychoanalyst, and they believe in like Sigmund Freud. What happened to you in your childhood or what was modeled for you kind of shows up as how you will partner, who you will choose, and how you will be as a partner. And it's so good.
Interesting.
So I highly recommend that. And then a book I've been reading is by the author Kennedy Ryan. If you love a good romance, steamy, check out an escape somewhere.
Kenny does.
Yeah. I highly recommend Kennedy Ryan. And all of her books are based in Atlanta. And she's such a good writer. Like, it's not like a 50 Shades of Grey where it's like a fan fiction, like not good writing. Like, this is like good writing.
That was such bad writing. I'm sorry. Objectively bad.
It was. This was like good writing with a good character building and good romance.
Okay.
I love a good denouement moment for the character, you know? Like, yes.
Mm-hmm. So anything by Kennedy Ryan?
Yeah.
Or is there like
so far my favorite is Before I Let Go, which is perfect because, not to give it away, but the character in the book suffered an infant loss, and how it impacted her marriage, and how her and her husband grieved differly.
Oh, that is an interesting tie-in with this podcast episode and the topic that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Well done. I see what you did there. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Keisha, what do you do? What is your go-to for a quick mental break?
A couple of different things. I've gotten into having a flower garden. I love hydrangeas, butterfly bushes. I have just a little bit of everything, and just being out there to plant it, see it grow, the beauty in it. I hosted a garden dinner party on Saturday.
What?
Yeah, with my close girlfriend.
That's the stuff of dreams.
I know.
Oh no, we've lost Emily. She's got plans now.
You said garden and dinner, and I was like, I'm in.
And party. You do like to host things.
I do like a party.
I made like a menu.
That sounds amazing.
And I did like a strawberry salad with braised short ribs and grits and
what?
collards and cornbread, and I made strawberry shortcake and red velvet cake.
Okay. Now I'm a little bit jelly.
I know. Where was my invite? Got lost in the mail. I'm thinking,
Yeah. And I scheduled it because I'm in the South and not at the Northwest Coast, that it's hot. So
yeah,
we ate at like 7:30. So right before like sunset. And it was nice.
Okay. That sounds so fabulous.
It was nice. I love like a good meal and laughing and conversation.
Good company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is one thing that today you wishes that you could go back in time and tell yourself when you were really struggling?
Yes. That you are one of a kind, and that is your superpower. Like, don't worry about trying to be like anyone else. Don't worry about trying to compare yourself to anyone else. That the way that your brain functions and your creativity and your passion and your purpose is unique to you. And that what makes whatever you do amazing because it's done by you.
I'm a little teary. That was real good.
My eyeballs have been like welling up with like feelings, liquid feelings.
Liquid feelings.
And I've been getting goosebumps this whole episode. KEISHA, I've been feeling it from the other coast.
Oh, awesome.
There's one other question before we get to Emily's favorite question. I was wondering if you could tell me, do you have a favorite parenting hack?
Oh. I have started this in recent months where it's usually during bath time, and I'll do it individually where I'll say, what was your highlight of the day? Because, like usually like your kids would be like, he took my toy, or you didn't give me more spaghetti, like it's just always like
the airing of grievances. Yeah.
You didn't do,
I mean, if only I had more syrup on my pancakes. Yeah. But the whole day was ruined after that.
I know. Mm-hmm. We call my oldest our auditor because he just audits us all the time.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. So if I say, what is your highlight of the day? They like pause for a minute to think about, what did I really like about today? And like yesterday, my youngest, because they just started back doing swimming lessons yesterday.
Yes.
And he was like, doing swimming lessons and reading the new book that you got me and drawing the Transformer. To like just like sit in that and was like, yeah, that was really cool. And remember how you jump in the pool, and like to sit in the good, because I really want to teach them about gratitude.
Yes.
Because negative things will just happen regardless, but let's look at the things that we're really grateful for.
Absolutely. Okay. Critical question. How do you take your water?
How do I take
bubbles, no bubbles, flavor, no flavor, hot with coffee beans?
How do you stay hydrated?
Preferably cold. I don't have to have ice. If it's room temperature, that's fine, but I preferably like cold water. And no sparkles. None of that.
Oh, that's no spicy water for you.
You don't like the spicy water. Okay.
And preferably not like flavor. If it is, like, how sometimes people have like cucumber or like mint. Sometimes. Yeah. Uh-huh. But just straight up cold water.
Cold water. Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, I lied. There's one more question. Mm-hmm. KEISHA, if anything resonated, I'm sure there's a lot that will resonate with listeners of this episode, or maybe they might live in your area and they're interested in connecting with you in some way. What's the best way that folks can get a hold of you?
Oh, yes. My website, KEISHAREAVES.com.
Okay.
And it's Reeves, not like Superman, but like Keanu, I think. It's REAV as in Victor ES, not EE. And they can also follow on Instagram at KEISHA_Reaves to keep up with all the things that we're doing at the practice.
Awesome. Well, we'll drop all that in today's show notes so people can find you and connect with you and follow along with all the amazing stuff you're up to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Emily, you want to take us out?
Yes. All right. KEISHA, thank you so much for coming in and talking about your lived experience and innovations in therapy. I enjoyed getting nerdy with you about all of the things that you do and about this documentary. I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing all of your nuggets with us. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the I Am One podcast. Check out today's show notes where we'll drop links to all the important things that we mentioned in this episode. Please consider sharing about I Am One on social media and following and rating our show wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. It only takes a minute of your time and, well, that'll help our collective mission of bringing resources and local support to folks worldwide. From everyone here at PSI, thanks again for listening.